that's been a big shift for you in the last sort of 6 to 9 months as well is sobriety, and I just wonder if you could share a little bit about that journey, because it's more and more people are becoming sober curious, and it's interesting, we're filming this in July, which is a lot of people are doing dry July, which
of course
I always sort of get a bit activated by, because raising money and not drinking for a month for a cure, when the number one carcinogenic is actually alcohol. So but I think that's really important that we actually share that message, because I don't think a lot of young people who are discovering alcohol actually realise, I'm actually drinking a toxic product here. But it's just been so normalised and it's so available. And then just in our village alone, I think, gosh, we've got about 7 places you can buy alcohol. So I wonder if you could share a little bit about your sober journey.
Well, disclaimer, it was my birthday yesterday, and I had mentally prepared to my birthday. So I think it's 9 months next week. And I hadn't planned to drink, and I'm a little bit peeved off, but my friend showed up with a bottle of Moet. I thought, why would you do this to me?
I call it sober curious. I really do.
So last night I drank, and I can honestly say, having spent 9 months sober and last night drinking, I will never drink again.
Is that right?
Yeah, I knew that I wanted to get to about a year of sobriety, and maybe I would just see how I feel. And I kind of had said and been saying, maybe I'll just not drink. I 100% have no intention of drinking again.
Wow.
And it's not like that feeling where you feel like, I need to take a bit of a break. But I'm like, I actually get nothing from this, and it only takes. And I definitely, when I've heard people talk about sobriety, a little part of me, the rebellious, non-conforming part of me is like, oh my God, so lame. Okay, whatever, like, how boring are you? So I completely understand when we talk about sobriety that that's going to almost switch off a lot of, the brain power for a lot of people. And I definitely not want to be in a position to harp on about, don't drink, and that's not the case, because it's not like that for everybody at all. But what I will say is not drinking has literally changed my life in so many ways I couldn't even have begun to imagine. So I guess starting off, I just randomly one night, I was thinking about, I guess, alcohol in the system, and I Googled, how long does it take for alcohol to leave your system? And it said, like, after a decent amount of drinking, let's say a Saturday night, you go out till 3 a.m., 72 hours. So I was thinking, gosh, that means I'm drunk and then affected by alcohol probably until about Wednesday morning, give or take, which means Monday, Tuesday showing up for work, I'm not at, best form. And so realistically, if that's 3 out of 7 days, it's about 40% of my life that I'm either drunk or affected by being drunk. I thought, I don't want to spend 50% of my life like negatively affected by that. That sounds insane to me. And that's 1 day of drinking. And so I thought, okay, well, at least I want to be healthy twice as long as I'm affected by it. So I thought, okay, 2 weeks. So then I'll just drink once every 2 weeks. And then I thought, well, maybe I should take a bit of a break, right? Then it was 1 month. And then this is like November. So I'm thinking, but it's Christmas. Christmas is coming up. And then New Year's is coming up. What if I fly and I go to Europe and I want to, drink cocktails? And just realizing how ridiculous I have to drink. But it's New Year's, right? Just have champagne. I'm like, well, what is it about the drinking that I feel I need to do? And so it was about reframing each inclination to drink. So why do I feel the need to drink when I'm at the airport? Why do I feel the need to drink when the drink's free? What happens when someone gives you a free drink? Don't want to waste it. It's only a drink. And so I had to go through and I had to think about all these situations in my life that I would feel inclined to drink, and I had to change the thought and understand why I even felt that way. Then what I had to do is go through and go, well, what am I going to do instead? Because relying on having impulse control in the moment is not my forte.
Yeah.
Definitely, you get flustered. They're asking you what you want to drink. You're like, I'll just get the red wine. I don't know. And so I had to come up with a plan. And I honestly got stumped when it got to steak. Steak and not having red wine, I really had no idea what I was going to do. I came up with a plan and I did some Googling, but now I'm so prepared that when I go out, I get a mocktail. I don't taste the difference at all. So I still have a special drink.
Totally, yeah.
And I realized the drinking was about 10% of the enjoyment of everything that was circulating around drinking. And when you took the drinking away, I still got to have my little rituals. Still get to have a nice drink after work. I still used to cheers with my friends. Still get to make a nice cocktail, like mocktail with, fruits and flavors. And I still get to go out and socialize. And I still would go out till 3 a.m. I was out till 3 a.m. on Wednesday, 1 a.m. Thursday, and then last night till 2 o'clock. And aside from this morning feeling a little bit not great, that was the first time I felt like not good after waking up and not feeling like I could do things the next day and go out and like enjoy a walk in the sun instead of hiding behind my curtains, eating junk food, feeling sorry for myself and feeling a lot of anxiety about what I remember and what I don't remember and trying to guess. And it really changed things for me. And I was talking to a colleague of mine and he says 2 things that were just crazy to me, and I used to think the same way. And he goes, I had the most amazing weekend. I said, oh my God, did you go to that thing on Sunday you were looking forward to? He had a card tournament. He was absolutely dying to go to. He goes, no, I didn't make it to the card tournament. I went, why? He was like, oh, we went out on Saturday night and it was such a good night and I just didn't feel like it the next day. I was like, you were really looking forward to that. And I realized how many times I cancelled on things the next day that I genuinely wanted to do. And a friend of mine said to me not that long ago, he goes, anything that prevents me from doing what I want to do and what I set out to do, it gets cut.
Yeah.
It goes immediately. And I was like, that is so interesting. And then I said to him, okay, well, the night was really great and you don't want to go to Soul's tonight with me, which, you've cancelled on. How was the night? Tell me about it. He goes, okay, so I remember the first bar, but then I blacked out and I have no idea what happened the rest of the night. He goes, that was the best night of your life, supposedly. You've cancelled all the things that you were really genuinely looking out to do and you don't even remember it. If I told you, hey, give me $300, I'm going to give you the best experiences of your life. But the only condition is after you've had the experience, I'm actually going to remove your memory of it. So you only remember about the first 10 minutes.
Plus you'll be 300 less off.
And then you'll feel shit the next day. And I don't know how I thought that. How I thought that was totally fine. And now it's like crazy to me that I felt and spoke that way and bragged about that. I had such a good night, I don't even remember it. Why is that a brag?
Such programming, eh?
It's bizarre to me now.
But you think about what we've seen on movies and possibly seen a lot of our parents or people that we've grown up with, the behaviour. So yeah, it's a curious one. That's why I call it sober curious.
It feels really good. Aside from giving me all the energy to do all these other things that I never had time for.
Yes.
And aside from all the health benefits, which there are many, I think the biggest thing that it's given me is I actually do trust my judgment now. And I feel like I have discipline that I didn't ever have. I talk a lot of talk, but to be able to sit there and go, actually, in that moment where things are tempting and you may feel like you're missing out and there is a habit and a bad relationship that you have to something, that you can take it out of your life and stick to that. And that's given me, I think, just something that nothing else could have given me. And I think it's probably similar to how people feel about training and going to the gym, expecting to lie in bed and wait for the feeling of motivation to get up and go to the gym. It's not how people go to the gym. They get up and they put their gym clothes on and then they fill up their water bottle. By the time that it's time to go, they're prepared and they're ready and they go for it. And then they feel better afterwards.
Yeah.
So it's really nice.
Oh, Such wisdom.
I just think, thank God. I mean, you know, growing up, I had very heavy drinking parents. My dad is still a really heavy drinker. My stepmom's a fairly heavy drinker. My stepdad was an alcoholic. He started drinking again, but obviously not to the same degree. And my mum stopped drinking due to health issues. And I just think, thank God I'm no longer continuing that cycle. And it's been in the family for years. And the behavior that people have when they are drinking and the decisions they make that feel inauthentic to how they would have behaved if they hadn't been under the influence of alcohol. And there's a lot of shame with that for me, decisions I made and calls that I did, and people that I hurt, especially being very self-absorbed and not conscientious of how your words and your actions are affecting people in the moment. And I'm just glad that I'm not that person. And then anything that I do, that I say, I have full accountability for because I'm not under the influence. So there's no getting out of it too, I think. Sometimes we use alcohol. It's like I was so drunk, I'm not normally like that. And you excuse away your behavior because you were affected by something. You can no longer do that anymore.
Yeah.
You don't have an excuse.
Amazing, yeah, amazing. So yeah, I mean, the alcohol we've used to numb our feelings, and but I mean, the beautiful thing is that you've invested in other spaces that you can feel the feelings. So through movement, through accessing support that Heart Place Hospital offers, and so you're not needing that crutch. That yeah, it's beautiful. Oh, I love it.
It is a crutch though, is it not?
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's easy to understand, and there's no shame in people who drink. Even now, I'm like, drink, go for it, who cares? Especially if it doesn't have a negative effect on your life. All in moderation. It's about balance. You don't need to cut it out just to cut it out, you know. But I definitely, you know, I get it. I 100% getting it, because when you drink, you're not in your head. You let loose. You're not anxious sometimes, although you are more the next day.
Yeah, totally.
Which makes you anxious the next time you go out, so you drink again. So it's like a perpetual cycle. But yeah, I get it. I totally, you know, that feeling of being in a dance floor, being out of it, and just dancing and moving. I understand that romantic feeling. When you take out the alcohol and you realize you can still dance. And
like no one's watching.
And hopefully, you know, if you're drinking to cope with something, well then you know that there's something else underneath all of that. And you'll never uncover that and work on it and get better at being less socially anxious and less out of your head, which is something I struggle with as well, is overthinking and overanalyzing. Being super conscientious of how I'm being perceived in live time is exhausting.
Yeah.
It's super exhausting, and I understand wanting to turn that off.
Yeah.
And not wanting to put the work in to do that necessarily, or wanting to but not knowing how.
Yeah.
And I think this is why places like this are really important, is when you have a resource, you're no longer alone and you actually have the tools. You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
Don't know what you don't know.
I love that, yeah.